Hello, I am Cinder, and welcome back. Today I'll be giving a more summarized and abridged look at my Kadeen Commander deck, as showcased in my previous video, thanks to numerous bits of feedback that I've received on the Magic the Gathering subreddit. So, to begin, our commander is obviously Kadeen the Prevailer, a red-white human warrior which will allow us to utilize his Metalcraft ability to buff up all of our artifact creatures which hold the majority of our deck. Next, we have our mana ramping artifacts such as the Boros Locket and the Iron and Gold Mirrors. These, along with Cathodian and other different artifacts that will allow us to add mana, will help us utilize and obtain a higher board state earlier on in the game. Next are our more controlling artifacts, such as the God Pharaoh's statue, which will allow us to have the upper hand on our opponents while they struggle to cast their spells, as well as different pingers and destruction cards, such as the Meteor Golem or Ride Down and Goblin Replica. Next, we have Frogmite and Mirror Enforcer. These are two artifact creatures with affinity for artifacts, which will then allow us to cast them for less and less mana cost the more artifacts we control. And with all of these artifacts, most of which having tapped abilities, we're going to need the Voltaic Servant and the Galvanic Key to allow us to untap said artifacts to become even more efficient in our plays and get more value out of a single turn. And finally, we're going to need a lot of equipment to further buff our creatures. And one such equipment I'd like to showcase is the Banshee's Blade, which will get +1/+1 for each charge counter on Banshee's Blade, and you'll gain a charge counter each time that creature deals combat damage. So, the more you use the creature you equip this to, the bigger and stronger it'll get. And, of course, we have to showcase basic lands. We're going to need a relatively even split between plains and mountains. And then we will have to use items such as the Gateway Plaza or the Scavenger Grounds to get colorless mana to further allow us to cast our colorless spells, such as the artifacts. Also, you can feel free to add in certain cycling lands or lands that buff creatures, or simply in Evolving Wilds to help us search for a basic land earlier on in the game, if we are not able to draw many in the early turns. The point of this deck is basically to get as many artifact creatures on the board and buff them up with as much equipment as possible, so that essentially the moment Kadeen leaves our command zone and onto the battlefield, we will win purely based off of our mass quantities of large creatures, each with their own individual buffs and separate abilities, not to mention the extra power given by Kadeen's Metalcraft. If you do end up constructing this deck, I wish you the best of luck at, say, FNM or a Commander Casual Night. So, as always, stay nerdy, friends. Cinder out.